Good day or evening, depending on when you're watching this. Today we'll look at two e-learning authoring tools, Adobe Captivate 12 and Articulate Storyline 360. This is Adobe Captivate. Captivate 12 was released in mid-2023. It's a significant revision from the previous version of Captivate in that it's a shift from a pixel editor to a block editor. Block editors were popularized by the content management system WordPress and the Elementor plugin for WordPress. Both Captivate and Storyline are modern desktop apps. Storyline only works in Windows or a Windows virtual machine, while Captivate works on Mac and Windows. However, because it's a major revision, most of the video training you'll find online is older and impossible to follow along with because the app's layout has changed so much. I found a single book about Captivate 12 on Amazon, and I used that to better understand the software. One of the first main differences between Storyline and Captivate is that Captivate, as with most block editors, is capable of responsive design. If you take a look here, you'll see it can go from tablet to mobile to desktop. The responsive design breaks down a little bit if you're using video. The videos you place will increase or decrease in size depending on what type of screen you're viewing on. This, however, does not mean that the videos are responsive. On a phone, you might end up with a video that fits the screen just fine, but is only a tiny size. It's difficult to explain, so if you have any questions, please ask me in chat. One of the things about responsive block editors like Captivate is that you don't have to specify the size of your slides, and you can have an infinite scroll like what you see on Facebook and other popular social media sites. And you'll see here that I'm starting to add text and graphics to my presentation. You can add buttons, input fields, and all sorts of things. There's Quizlets, there's cards. There's a lot of things you can do there, and these are blocks. You can't put one block over another. You have to do one block right after the other, and that's pretty much how it works. So another thing about block editors is that you can't place elements anywhere you want on the screen. There's some variety in Captivate's block templates as we've just seen, but it won't compare to Storyline's nearly limitless design options. Depending on whether you're used to pixel editors like Storyline or block editors like Captivate, you might find Captivate easier to use. Captivate has two modes. It can record software simulations, which you can do here by going to File, Record a New Software Simulation, and it does most of the software simulation work for you automatically. Captivate is as easy to use as most block editors. You have your media content blocks right here, and these include text, photos, video, scalable vector graphics, and characters. Here you can preview again on desktop, mobile, or tablet, and you'll see that it breaks down very well. This is what we mean by responsive design, is that it can be viewed on a phone or a tablet or a desktop just fine. If you're used to Canva, you're probably wondering if Captivate has a content library in the app. I'm happy to say that it has images, video, and a library of characters. However, the content library pales in scope to Storyline's 360s, compared to Storyline 360's library. I think that Storyline taps into Unsplash and other repositories. Captivate also has templates, but at the time of this recording, there were only 18 of them. Captivate, like Storyline, can export both SCORM and Tin Can API routines, and you can do that by going into your Publish settings over here. And you can switch from HTML to, actually you do that by options. And you go to your quizzing and your assessments. So reporting, enable reporting, and you can do SCORM or a Tin Can API, which is XAPI and stuff like that. So it will work seamlessly with major LMSs. One thing that I haven't been able to overcome so far is that it's been impossible for me to get Captivate courses to shared hosting, except for the Adobe Cloud. I've spent hours in chat with technical support representatives from both HostGator and Bluehost and have had no luck. Captivate doesn't use PHP, so the different versions, like PHP 7.2 or 8.3, don't make a difference. and both hosting services that I've tried use JSON throughout, so that wasn't the issue either. I've been back and forth with experts on the Adobe forum and support, and we haven't resolved the issue. The result is always the same. When I navigate to the index page of the Captivate course, it gives me a blank white window with just the title in the tab. There's no play button, as there should be. The courses work locally and with Adobe Cloud, so there's no problem with Captivate. It's just that it's not playing well with the two shared hosting services. I've tried. I might use Captivate for portfolio pieces, but I'm not entirely sure how I would use it for work unless I can get that sorted out, probably by talking to someone with more technical knowledge and experience than me. Articulate Storyline and Rise courses work fine for me when uploaded to shared hosting. Captivate has a few different types of built-in assessments: multiple choice, true and false, match the column, short answer, and sequence. Storyline has about twice as many. And let's see, you can get those by going to content slides, and then you can add question slides like multiple choice. And you can add things like true or false or match the column. And those are some assessments in Captivate. At their hearts, Captivate and Storyline are low-code or no-code environments. This is especially important for us, for those of us who don't want to code custom things with JavaScript, which is why I'm attracted to these apps. JavaScript is available in both programs for those who really want to dive into it. I was a developer for a year and a half, and I wrote small C++ programs that determined the placement and timing of variables on financial documents. I didn't like it well enough to continue. Both Captivate and Storyline have visual interaction editors. That means you can select an object and then select the sort of logic that you want that object to trigger, including variables. In Captivate, this lives to the interactions to the right of your display. And we can see here I'm adding an interaction. Upon clicking or tapping this button, we can go to the next slide, go to another slide, apply an animation, hide, show, and we can do more here in the dropdown. We can resume timeline, pause timeline, show the table of contents, toggle variables, open a URL or a file. So you can have your e-learning linked to other places too. As far as accessibility is concerned, both Captivate and Storyline have places where you can add alt text. Captivate has an entire tab dedicated to that. It's this accessibility tab right here, where you can add alt text to any image, and then you can also replace the tab reading order, which means you can adjust the tab reading order for, you can read certain parts first with a screen reader. The price point of Captivate is around $35 a month plus tax, adding up to around $430 a year. Unlike Storyline, you can pay monthly or yearly. Let's move on to Articulate Storyline 360. The latest build of Storyline was released a few days ago, on January 23, 2024. If you look at and recognize the user interface, Storyline looks a lot like PowerPoint, as you can see here. I've heard that Storyline was originally a PowerPoint plugin. While Captivate is a block editor, Storyline is a pixel editor. It is a desktop app that works with Windows or a Windows virtual machine and doesn't currently have a Mac version. Storyline has evolved over the years, but hasn't had the revolution that Captivate has. So you'll find that video and book training from 5 years ago is still very relevant. There are a lot of places that will help you learn more about Captivate, including YouTube, LinkedIn Learning, and Udemy. Being a pixel editor, Captivate does not produce responsive courses. If you want to design a course for, say, a laptop or a desktop screen, tablet, and a phone, the procedure is to design for laptops and then port that design over to tablets and then port it over to phones. This can involve significant work, over and above designing the initial course. If you're working for a company, you may only be required to design for laptops because employees won't be accessing your course on their mobile devices. Being non-responsive is both an advantage and a disadvantage. On the minus side, you potentially have more work, but on the plus side, you can place any element anywhere, and you can create more intricate designs because you're not using predefined blocks to accomplish things. People have designed full-fledged games in Storyline. Older people like myself might find Storyline easier to use because they're not used to block editors. My background is mainly in Adobe InDesign and Premiere Pro, which are both pixel editors like Storyline. And here I can demonstrate a little bit about how you can place things next to each other. And you'll see that it's a little bit different from Captivate. So we can put a picture in here. Let's see. And you can put the shape anywhere above or below the text. And you can add a text box here with anything you want to say. So it's not in blocks like Captivate. So you can use Storyline's screen recording feature to start building software simulations, but unlike Captivate, it does not do the work for you. It involves using hotspots and video cue points. There are tutorials about how to do this on YouTube, and it's quite a bit of effort to set up and get the timing right. One of Storyline's major pluses is the scope of their content library, which I'll show you right here. So the content library is over here, and it includes a ton of photos and stuff like that. They're here to cater to any need, and it's all searchable, and the app has hundreds of template slides in the video library. Storyline can export both SCORM and Tin Can API routines to connect your e-learning scores and actions to various LMSs. I haven't had any difficulty publishing content produced in either Articulate, Storyline, or Rise to the web, so I was able to avoid that headache. No trying and failing or staying up at all hours chatting with support. Storyline has many assessment options out of the box, and you can convert just about anything into hotspots to make your own assessment questions. There are 20 built-in types, which I can show you right here. There are 11 graded and 9 non-graded questions. The question types include standards like true, false, multiple choice, matching, sequence, Likert scales, essays, and numeric. And here we go to the non-graded questions, which are survey questions, and you can see we have quite a few of those to choose from. If you put these in there, they won't be reported to your LMS. One of the places a Storyline shines is animation. It takes what Captivate does and adds motion paths to the mix. There are no rigging options, so you're probably not getting full-fledged character animation unless you edit it as a video. Still, the range of animation should be acceptable for most e-learning projects. And one of the neat things you can do is path animation, which you can add motion paths. And therefore the ball will travel from one end of the screen to the other. Storyline is a low-code environment unless you want to get creative with JavaScript. It has a visual code editor and a single repository for declared variables. The repository is right here by your triggers, and you can see all the variables in your project. I've used the visual editor to get a wide range of results, from asking the learner for their name and printing it out later to creating a game based on Jeopardy! So for example, with your object triggers here, when oval 1, we can do plenty of things. When the timeline starts, when the user clicks, when the mouse hovers over, there's state sliders moving, dials turning, timeline starts and ends, and you can use picture 1 or text box 1 or the oval, and you can move oval 1 on the timeline or motion paths. And you can edit any of these things. You can jump to slides, and you'll see that it's kind of a more robust visual code editor than visual logic editor than Captivate. Accessibility options in Storyline aren't as straightforward as in Captivate. It's hidden under View, Media Library. And here you can add your alt text to images, but you can't adjust the screen reader order. So you can't adjust the order in which the screen reader reads out these alt text or text on your screen. I'm curious as to how NVDA or JAWS would read a Storyline project versus a Captivate project. The cost of Storyline is about $1,100 a year for the personal plan and $1,300 a year for the team plan. However, a student version is available for about $550 a year. There are no monthly plans available. All of this is significantly more expensive than Captivate. However, you do get Rise 360 with your yearly plan. Rise 360 is a block editor, unlike Storyline, and is a direct competitor to Adobe Captivate, although it's not as full-featured. Both programs are worth it because it's a lot easier to use than to rig up something from scratch using JavaScript and a framework, even if you're a development expert. I'm not sure that content management systems can do anything like Captivate or Storyline. The most annoying thing about both apps, probably, is that there's no dark mode. Let's review some of the similarities and differences between Captivate and Storyline. So for Captivate, it's a block editor versus a pixel editor for Storyline. A lot of training available for Storyline and not for Captivate. They can be easier to use, one or the other, depending on what you're used to. There's a large content library for Storyline, and Storyline is not responsive while Captivate is. Also, Captivate has a few assessment options where Articulate Storyline has more. Articulate Storyline can animate paths. They're both low-code environments, and Storyline is significantly more expensive. If you made it this far, thank you for clicking on the link, and I hope that you have a great rest of the semester. Bye-bye.